right, everyone. Welcome back to SCTV for ScreeningClub.com, where we break down the latest in television entertainment each week for you. And welcome back our man that was away last week, our colleague Chris. Chris, welcome back to the show. How are you doing this week?
Hey, thanks. It's good to be back. I've had a pretty crazy week, and in the middle of the week I got very sick for a couple of days. I'm now recuperating from that. So if I sound groggy or raspy, that's why.
Not during your event.
No, not during my event, like yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you feel better.
Thank you. I went to my event, Mystic, Connecticut, the NEMA conference. Came back, then my Xbox broke. I don't know if you've noticed, I haven't been on Xbox.
I don't know if you've noticed, neither have I.
Okay, well, I couldn't check. So
how exactly did your Xbox break?
The HDMI in the HDMI port, HDMI in port is it's just all broken. Like it's all wide and can't fit an HDMI cord properly.
You just arrived home to your Xbox and it was broken?
No, the way I have my setup in the HDMI puts stress on the Xbox. Like it has to curve in a weird way, so it's kind of curved upwards, and then over time it must have just broken.
I know a guy with multiple Xboxes just lying around idly in his home. Maybe we can get him to.
Maybe sounds like a good guy to know.
Maybe my current plan is to wait for Cyber Monday and get a good deal online.
You're just going to buy a new Xbox? You're not going to try and get it fixed?
I don't have a warranty.
Sounds like a perfectly good Xbox. It sounds like a $10 fix.
$10 fix. The HDMI port's busted.
Just the port?
What do you mean just the port?
The whole system's fine?
Well, I assume. We're
going to have to talk about this.
I haven't even tried.
Later.
Have you checked, like, manufacturer warranty?
I got it on day one, though. I think that's all passed now.
You just bring it to an electronics repair store, give them $20.
An electronics repair store?
throw down a 20. Say, what can you do for me?
It's an HDMI port. It's like everything else is fine. Anyway,
I assume.
We'll talk about this later. How was your week, Mike?
It was good.
Anything
better than last week?
Run into any crazy women in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot this week?
No, thankfully. I was spared. Just, busy with regular everyday life. That's about it.
That's good. It's always a good week when you don't, when you're not approached by any crazy people. And I had a good week myself too. Lots of good TV this week, huh?
Oh yeah.
You guys enjoy your watching this week?
Yes, very much so.
What?
Yeah.
So American Horror Story ended this week, right?
This was the final episode, yeah.
Wow.
Episode 10.
Episode 10, Chapter 10, closing the books on American Horror Story Roanoke.
Have they announced if it's coming back for another season?
Of course it's coming back for another season. It's FX's highest rated show, Chris.
Guess so.
Wow. Closing the books, in my opinion, maybe 4 or 5 episodes late. It got progressively rougher and rougher. We can get into that. Mike, what were your thoughts on this week's episode, the closing episode?
Well, before I get down to my thoughts on the episode, I want to talk a little more broadly about this season.
Sure.
I've been pretty vocal, I'd say, in my praise of it. I think it's been a great comeback year. Relative to, what we've come to expect from American Horror Story, the last few years have been really just formulaic and of a much lower quality than the first couple of seasons 1 and 2 primarily.
Okay.
So, just in general, I really enjoyed the season for its break from formula, and it's mostly just singularly focused, strong execution of the story from that we followed from episode 1 all the way through episode 10. There was a lot to really like and appreciate here. And episodes, there have been some lulls, certain points in the various iterations of this year. There was clearly like two large chapters in the story, and not everything coalesced into superior TV. That said, in general, it's been great relative to American Horror Story. This episode was kind of a hot mess.
Okay.
It was, and I can imagine your thoughts on it, Jeff. But yeah, we can sort of get into that a little bit.
Maybe after we speak about it, I'd love to hear any thoughts Chris has as someone that's refused to watch it but has heard us talking about it every week. I wonder just what his general feeling is, but maybe we can talk about this episode and then ask him.
Sure.
Well, I'll say my main thought about this episode has been, unlike for the past 5 weeks where I've just felt like we're stretching this thing out, this episode was like, how much shit can we pack into this episode? There was so much random stuff going on in this episode.
I think we got 3 different TV specials about just the massacre at Roanoke, as well as Lee Harris, who, I mean, this episode played up as the fixture of the entire season. I guess that this was a great episode if you really truly believed that the whole point of this entire season was the character of Lee Harris, her redemption, her journey to earning back the respect and love and good graces of her daughter. If that's what you were invested in, this was a good episode for you. I don't feel like that was the strongest aspect of the season. I kind of regret that it dealt so heavily with the Lee and her daughter side of things. I would have been much more interested if this episode dealt with the aftermath of the literal massacre that we had just witnessed, the previous 4 episodes of all of these people. That would have been a lot more interesting to me. I don't know why they kind of just sidestepped that for the Lee and her daughter stuff.
Can I just say on that note, it's so much, they've spent so much time just attempting to pretend, this is reality, this is what's happening, this is how everyone's reacting to this real thing. We went through in this episode another reality show, a reality show about a reality show about a reality show. We went through the court case. We two court cases.
The Lana Winters special.
Went through the Lana Winters special, which was just, I mean, as someone that hasn't watched too much American Horror Story, it was just clearly Audrey, in some light makeup. And
that was Lana Winters. Come on.
Oh, okay. It was just, it was just clearly her, and it really, I mean, I could see how that could be confusing. But anyway, we go through all this stuff for reality. There is zero mention of the fact that they have these clearly supernatural killings on tape. We have ghosts.
Most people seem to question the authenticity of what we had just seen.
But we literally have recordings of these mobs of people coming out, ghosts coming out and murdering people. And they're not going after them.
That should have been the whole point of this episode, was a serious investigation into what the hell just happened at this house.
Oh my!
That would have been a lot more interesting. I think
there was so little paid to that. It was so little paid to anything, to wrapping up anything outside of Lee's daughter.
And to top it all off, they broke the one rule of the season, in that the final 10 minutes or so, the camera finally went to omnipresent mode. It wasn't an actual reality camera capturing what was right before it. It was just an actual TV show we were seeing with Lee speaking directly to her daughter.
That's true.
Which was an interesting choice to close out the year.
No, I'm sure they hit a camera in there or something.
There was no hidden camera. That was just...
Well, there was no cameras in the Hillbilly house either, but we got plenty of different angles there, didn't we? But yeah, I just think so. So Chris, we went through this whole. We had 2 different trials of Lee. We had the trial, and then she was found innocent, and then another trial, and then just going through all this.
But she was found innocent in both, if you can believe.
She was found innocent the first time because she was hallucinating, right?
That's what they said, yeah.
And then the second time, she was found innocent because her daughter was friends with a ghost. Is that why she was innocent the second time? That was rough. And then we had... What else do we have? Then we had the interview with Audrey, Audrey in the makeup.
Lana Winters. Get it right?
Yeah, well, that was quite a choice, I guess. But I did see that there was some background there. Was the background from the season that I watched?
Yeah, Lana Winters was the heroine of American Horror Story Asylum.
I didn't remember it.
And the final episode of that season, we saw her in her present-day form as an older Barbara Walters-like TV journalist icon.
I do remember Lana Bana Boban.
Lana Bana Bobana.
Did you watch that season, Chris?
Yeah, I watched a lot of it with you, Jeff.
Okay. Could you imagine we have one character throughout the whole season, and then
they did this last year
after
too.
She dies,
they did this last year with Sarah Paulson. She played one character, and then the final episode they brought back a character that she had played in season 1, Murder House.
Wow. No shame.
Oh, wow. Well, that's kind of weird because it assumes that you've seen the other seasons when kind of the whole deal about that show.
Yeah, I mean, if for just a casual viewer, I'm not sure it works as well, but for people that are like really devoted to the show and are invested in its history, I think it is rewarding in a sense to see characters that we had previously invested time and emotion into. I love to see Lana again because, like I said last week, I think she's the best character the show's ever produced.
Maybe
don't think they did as much with her as they could have, sadly.
Yeah, maybe we could have gotten a little bit more of her instead of just saying, let's throw another shitty reality show on top of everything. Let's just throw another one in. We're literally on like number 7. I'm serious. We have the main Roanoke show, the second Roanoke show,
yep.
Right? Then we have the other reality show where they were going in, right? There's been 2 reality shows where they were trying to go in to the aftermath, right?
Well, they had that. What was it? Witch Hunters or whatever? And the last segment of the show.
Well, the one from this last episode.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like, they're looking for supernatural.
I think we had 3 distinct like TV specials based on the aftermath of what we had.
Then we have like
previously seen
30 fake news programs, and then we have the Lana Winters program.
I wish the whole thing was the Lana Winters special. I think that hard hitting investigation into what the hell happened at this house.
That would have been cool.
By Lana Winters.
It was very brief.
Huh?
Her time was very brief.
Very brief. I think that would have been really great. It would have been paying homage almost to Asylum. It just, I think it would have been a better time.
Yeah. It sounded like she was trying to get into it, but then...
And that the hillbilly busted through with his assault rifle and
literally
beat her over the head with it.
They found out that she called her on her daughter being missing again, then all of a sudden, assault rifle shots from outside.
Oh my God.
What is that? What is that? Bullet holes in the door, and he just busts in.
I was genuinely afraid they were going to kill her, and I would have been upset. But
kill
Lana.
Audrey, Lana. Yeah, guess. I mean, that would be tough for Audrey to die twice in the same season. Once having to wear some very, very light makeup. But yeah, then she busts in, and then we get. I just can't help but feel like it's no. figure out anything creative. Just throw another fake reality show on top of this. Like,
I did enjoy seeing like all of the ghosts of Roanoke sort of come back to slaughter all of them, even though it really made no dramatic sense.
I wish we.
But it was a fun way to close the Lee stuff. Not so much. Just
So Flora screwed over her mom, right? That's what happened here.
Yeah. I guess Lee just sort of inexplicably decided to end her life at Roanoke.
I thought she was doing that so she could stay with the daughter, and then the daughter left.
Well, she did it in a way to save her daughter because Flora had pledged to, I think, kill herself to remain at that house with Priscilla.
Yeah.
But Lee took her place.
Oh. Okay.
And will forever live.
And then the house just blows up.
With Priscilla. And did the house... It did blow up, that's right.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. Let's just have the house blow up. Now, so both of our screen bets were correct, right?
Well, yeah. Our
Although really
restructured screen bets.
The only one that really made it out alive was Audrey, who made it out
Lana Winters
through wearing some light makeup. Because Lee died at the end, right?
Yep.
It was just such a mess of... We were just jumping around. And the scary thing was, I was used to it. Like, we open up at, like, the horror conference.
The Pally Fest.
With them all
with
on
the whole
stage.
cast on stage.
And everyone's alive. And, oh, okay. And then,
Kathy Bates got in a fun line there.
Kathy Bates did get in a good line. But... Then we just jump right to, like, the trial stuff, and then we jump to, another reality show. Yeah, sort of just what I'm expecting. Like, just they throw some more shit on top. It was okay. Like you were saying, it was an ending for Lee, and really for nothing else. No further... like, explanation of anything. Like, we never really did find out about Lady Gaga. She infected Lee.
The Tree Witch.
She infected Lee with whatever had her killing everyone, and then it just sort of went away.
Yeah.
And she was all set. It was,
Did they put in... I know that he likes to put in hints at what the next season's going to be. Do you remember them talking
they very
about
well
that?
may have, but not as far as anything I noticed.
I was reading something that someone posted on Reddit. Sorry, Reddit friend. I don't remember your name.
It was Mike. His private Reddit account.
Someone posted a screenshot of something that looked like a boat with sails, and then they said that they think it's going to be an ocean.
Like a ghost ship. That'd be cool.
What do you think about that, Mike?
That's interesting. I've read speculation that maybe it'll be like a World War II, Vietnam War maybe set that season.
How are they going to get a
taking
reality
place
show?
in a similar time span to the Freak Show season? With strong ties. I think Ryan Murphy actually came out and said that the next season will have strong ties to Freak Show.
Okay.
Chris, will you be back for that?
If they had strong ties to Freak Show, probably not.
Can I tag out and you can tag in, Chris?
How about just tag out, join the crew?
No, come on. Let's be grown-ups here. We'll all be back.
Let's be grown-ups and watch a show we don't want to watch.
I kept strong, so Chris bowed out after one episode. But no, I mean, if we're gonna watch it, I'll watch it. What's scaring me is that you guys are, or Mike, you're saying that this is one of the best ones, right?
I put out a definitive ranking on my personal Twitter account, and then I retweeted it from the Screening Club Twitter account. I ranked this season the third best after Asylum and Murder House.
Wow.
Sounds fair.
Pretty strongly about
And Chris missed it.
That sounds fair. Jeff, you should watch, like, what would you say the worst one is? Coven?
Coven.
You should watch Coven just for, like, to have that knowledge in your brain.
The worst
You
one.
thought this was bad?
to get
It
a
could get much
baseline.
worse.
To get a baseline for future seasons.
Yeah, well, I'm happy it's
Is the girl
happy
from
it's done.
Is the girl from Coven the main character of Coven in this season?
Taissa Farmiga?
Sure.
Yeah, she was in last episode. She died.
Oh, was she the
She was
daughter?
brutally murdered.
All right, cool.
Chris, what did you think about this season of American Horror Story just from hearing us talk about it?
It seemed like a little bit of a mess I thought it was going to be. But obviously hearing from Mike, I mean, Lana Winters being in it, even for like a half an episode, is pretty enticing.
Wow.
I did love that character.
She's enough to almost pull you in like that?
Yeah. Well, it seems like the kind of show where when it's on Netflix, I'll just binge watch it really fast.
There you go.
Yeah.
We have hope.
There you go. Too cool to just watch along with us, but you'll squeeze it in later.
The reason why I didn't want to do it in the first place is because I didn't want to come on and have you hear me whining every week, but we ended up getting that anyway with Jeff. So, zero-sum game on that one.
Well, you could have joined in.
It would have been nice, Chris. Would have been nice.
Sorry, not sorry.
Next season, Chris?
We'll see. I'll definitely watch the first episode of next season.
We might have to bring in a guest if you're not going to watch it.
Yeah, all of our great friends that watch American Horror Story.
It's the most. It's one of the most popular shows on television.
All of our great friends.
It's true. It's true.
Wow, that's pretty ignorant, Chris. But anyway, we're done.
We're done.
And we did it.
Thank God.
We accomplished it. And Chris didn't.
Did you really accomplish it?
Speaking of accomplishment, DS is back again. DS, no longer a quick hit. As everyone experienced last week, DS has been upgraded to a full segment.
Mostly out of necessity for the podcast.
It may get downgraded again.
More than anything. Not because it deserved it, because we both know it definitely doesn't.
It's one of those that's on the on the line. But know what? There's been a couple of moments throughout this season of DS, some not the fault of the actual show, where I became angry at DS. One is the scheduling, and I've checked up now. We're going to get an episode this week and then a week off.
No. It is not on next week.
Okay. We got the episode this week, now a week off.
And then it'll
Then
come
an
back for
episode.
2 or 3 more?
One. It's this week, the one that we just had, week off, one more, then another week off. It's the week of Thanksgiving. I think.
As of
Next week.
recording this, Thanksgiving is this week, this coming week.
I know that what I saw was no episode, no episode.
But
upcoming
regardless of the schedule, it's sad that this conversation.
It's
has to
just
happen.
we're at the perils, the whims of the network TV schedule.
I just want
It's
some
just-
regularity here. That's all I want. Let's talk about this, because outside of the scheduling, this episode made me the most upset of any DS episode.
Happy to hear it.
Was it a Thanksgiving episode?
No.
Okay.
What?
We did get an idea of the timeline, because Kirkman referenced at least once that he had been president for like 2 months.
Oh,
So
I didn't even
if
realize.
the State of the Union typically takes place in like January, February,
Yeah.
2 months from
He's-
then, we're looking at March, April territory
He's
on the
been
calendar.
President for 2 months? My God. So, This episode, a couple of things happened. Let me just lay down a couple of facts so that anyone that's not an avid watcher of DS, which I imagine is quite a few of you, and Chris can get an idea for what upset me. But before I do that, Mike, did you have any general thoughts you'd like to share, or can I go into my tirade here?
Well, I'll just mention briefly, before the show on Wednesday, I tweeted out from our Twitter account, DS was back, and then I asked 2 questions. Will the son of a bitch, McLeish, finally get what's coming to him? And
son of a bitch.
Will the show continue down the path of a third-rate soap opera? The answer to the first question, resounding no. The answer to the second question, absolutely yes. But continue, please.
Only based on one episode, though, to be fair. But you were asking for this episode, those two questions?
Just in general. We're already flying down that path.
Okay.
The show did nothing to dissuade me of that belief.
I'm about to lay out a bunch of shit. So we got some answers in the form of this guy, Catalin. Okay?
Catalin Stark?
Catalin is the man that seems to be behind the bombing, Chris.
Oh my god.
And he's got some...
Oh my god.
He's got some deep... He's a bad dude, as the CIA guy kept saying and saying. Like...
He's bad.
FBI.
Okay, yeah, no, the CIA guy that she was talking to.
Oh, is that who that was?
I think so. And he kept
What's the CIA up to, by the way? I mean, we got these 2 FBI agents investigating this catastrophic event, but what we get no insight into what any of the other government agencies are doing. Are they just waiting around for these two people to figure out what happened?
It would seem from what that conversation was that the CIA has investigated, found out who the culprit was, but decided that he was too bad of a guy for them to continue after him. Like, that's literally... Now that you recognize that, I think he was from the CIA. Isn't that what that conversation seemed like? Like, we know this guy's a bad guy, but you stay away.
Stay away.
Like,
yeah.
Stay away from the guy that blew up everyone.
Who murdered the president, vice president, and the rest of the United States government. Just don't even bother. He's too bad of a dude. Don't get mixed up with this guy.
That's what this conversation was. So, Chris, this guy is an American, and he's so just blatantly badass that this guy... So they had the terrorist that they captured last week, who was taking responsibility for the bombing, and this guy, so American badass, he pretended to be a prison guard and killed the terrorist before he could give them information about who he was. The guy that did the Capitol bombing doesn't send a second-rate peon to pretend to be the jail guard.
He does it himself.
He did it himself.
Sounds like an evil Jack Bauer type.
Whoa, we're coming full circle now, I guess. So all of that is happening, okay? Secondary to this, and I've got to say, I was suspicious of this the moment it happened. All of a sudden, we cut to this scene. President Kirkland giving a big statement. This athlete is an American hero. We cut to this thing. We need to send these athletes to Russia because America needs to heal, and this man in particular is an American hero. I love this man. He gives a big statement. Okay, never met the guy before. Like this guy's coming in. We proceeded to go down a rabbit hole of one hell of a, like, oh my, it was, I had enough.
Well, we had the moral, like, existential crisis of the week. Like, you know how some shows have, like, monsters of the week? Like, this has, what will President Kirkman decide, like, a plot of the week,
It's
where he's faced with having to reconcile with his moral obligations as a husband, as a father, as a president, with what is the right thing to do, what is the thing that will help the country the most, or and sometimes it requires him to be colder and more pragmatic than he wants, but that is the kind of situation that we're dealing with every single week, and this is what this was.
And let me say this, Chris, I'm going to condense. You're not going to believe that this all happened as a secondary plot line to the main terrorist stuff.
Yeah.
This is what happened. We were introduced to him. They sent the team to Russia. When he lands in Russia, Russia claims that they found performance-enhancing drugs in his bag. This is... Stay with me here. He's the coach. Now, this is illegal in Russia, so they take him prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's getting pissed. Oh, President Kirkland just said this guy's an American hero. Now he's a drug man. President Kirkland... Then this drops. He's not just a coach, Chris. He's a spy. He's an American spy. So that's why Russia's framing him.
Wait, is this set during the Russian Olympics? 4 years ago?
They're going over for some. He's an Olympic athlete, but they're going over for some other
trials or something.
Competition.
Yeah. Okay.
So President Kirkland then sets up a crazy, a crazy deal with Russia, and Russia screws him.
3-team swap.
Then they do a 3-team swap. He brings in another country.
Turkey.
All behind the scenes.
Oh my God.
Everyone agrees. They have a 3-way trade. America gives, what was it, Syria?
It's like fantasy football.
America gives this other country stuff.
See, on the surface, that sounds kind of interesting, all this background dealing. If it's written well.
It's not done, Chris.
It's not written well, though. Don't worry.
They all land, okay, for the 3-way swap.
Mm-hmm.
They start saying, where is he? Where is the coach? He's not here. He's not here. Chris, turns out he was a double agent.
Oh my God.
He's... This is all happening as a secondary plot.
This is one episode?
Yeah. Turns out
this would be like an entire season of Homeland.
Turns out he was a double agent.
This is so funny.
This conflict is resolved in one episode?
Well, he got screwed. He did the best he could, and
that'll teach him to think about doing what's right.
And I think it's funny too. The Russian ambassador guy is just always available to come in. He
Mr. President.
Yeah,
Mr. Ambassador.
He just comes in and we get this whole oh, looks like we caught him with drugs. Oh, looks like we're willing to make this deal. Oh, looks like we're willing to make this 3-way deal. Oh, looks like he's a double agent. All with this same guy just coming in for these 30-second meetings. Then President Kirkland did drop a good line on him, which I'm forgetting, right at the end of the episode. He was like, you may have got me this time, but a lion, he dropped a good line on him.
Sounds pretty memorable.
Yeah. That's why.
We got a lot of other great Leo Kirkman stuff this week. And by great, I mean absolutely terrible.
The First Lady.
She goes and meets with, a man so obviously the real father of Leo Kirkman. They looked identical. Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if, after all this, that he isn't the father? That's what I think we're going for.
Chris, can you believe we fit all of this into an episode?
Yeah.
She goes to visit him in prison, and he tries to blackmail her into a back alley deal to get out of prison.
That's why it's worth the wait of skipping weeks. Got to come back for more.
But all of this is not my main beef with this episode.
What?
My main beef is, finally, the FBI, who has, probably weeks, has had solid evidence that McLeish was at least a part of blowing up the Capitol. Finally, they say, we're going to let him know. We're going to let Kirkland know that the man that blew up the Capitol, we know who he is. So, Kirkland, and this is only happening because Kirkland called for the FBI deputy director. So because he called for him, he said, fine, I'll finally let him know that there's a killer,
that the man you're considering appointing as your vice president is a conspirator in the greatest crime against the United States and the history of the world.
And he goes in, he's finally agreed to do it, but he can't do it because when he goes in, McLeish is having dinner with Kirkland. Now, Chris,
at that point, he's just hanging out in the Oval Office. Man, that guy is so Weasley, too.
Yeah.
Man, is he...
Are you saying it was great casting, Mike?
I guess, but I feel like now that the suspicion has been, so obviously, amped up towards him, they're really playing it hard, that this guy is a Weasley killer.
But, Chris, let me ask you this. You have this fact that is of the utmost importance to national security, to the safety of an entire country.
Yep. A country I love.
The country that we all love.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you can't immediately let the president know because he's standing next to the man that killed everyone. Would you just maybe say, can I speak with you about a matter of security for a moment? Or do really anything. Come back in 5 minutes. Give him a call in a half hour.
Yeah, good options.
Nope. He returns back to the office and just sort of goes, couldn't do it. Sorry.
Missed my window.
Also, why are there are only 2 FBI agents that are onto this? They're the only 2 people in the world that are suspecting this.
The CIA is not on it. No one else is investigating anything.
He survived this enormous explosion of the Capitol with just sort of superficial cuts on his face, and no one's suspicious of it.
They have concrete evidence, too, that he was in the bomb shelter.
Oh, my God.
But then, finally, at the end...
Hold on, wait.
Oh,
I just have to address something that I texted you immediately after.
Yes.
I watched the scene. I go, yo, have you watched DS yet?
I say, of course.
I did it seconds after. I texted you seconds after I watched this one scene. I was only halfway through at this point. McLeish... The man gunning for VP and the conspirator in this horrible crime shows up at the FBI office and volunteers all of this paperwork, all of his tax returns and his records of the last 10 years, and hands it over to the deputy director of the FBI.
Who is very...
very rightfully what the hell are you doing in my office? Why are you handing me this paperwork? We will conduct our own independent investigation. Now please leave. I mean, it was so obvious to me that the only reason this McLeish guy shows up in his office was to plant a tracking device. I mean, is there any doubt that's why he showed up there?
I think now that you've presented that to me, it does seem like the most probable thing.
What a ridiculous thing to do, to volunteer your own paperwork and for them to go, oh yeah, you know what, thank you for saving us some time. I appreciate it. Obviously,
that was so
he
stupid.
was there to plant a recording device of this man that is now being controlled by these shady terrorists because they kidnapped his son.
I know. Then at the end of the episode, think about everything me and Mike have described to you about this episode. At the end of the episode, the deputy FBI director's son gets kidnapped by the terrorists.
Sounds like a 3-hour TV movie.
And they say, "Don't say anything. Don't tell anyone, or we'll kill him. Just do what we say." And that's where we're sort of left off.
And now we're pretty much leading up to next week. He's going to have his meeting with Kirkland. Couldn't just wait five minutes when he had his ear. He's going to have his meeting with Kirkland with these people having told him what to say. Now, and then on top of all of this, we have Kumar and the reporter doing their backroom deals about the paternity stuff. But here's the question that I'd like to revisit. Last week, while you were away at your thing, Chris, me and Mike made a screen bet. Mike, the screen bet was, which will happen first? McLeish will become vice president, or Leo will find out his rightful father. Now, last week, we both said it was going to be Leo.
Right.
Not so sure after this week.
I mean, it's looking like he'll be appointed vice president.
They really threw us. They threw us a curveball, and not only that, we get a full. What should have been like you said, Chris, like a 3-hour long documentary, about U.S.-Russian relations, just thrown in, lathered on top of everything. Yeah, so we're both changing our screen bet to the first thing that will happen is McLeish becoming VP.
I guess so, yeah.
I think he's not. Well, yeah, he probably will.
I hope he blows up the White House. That'll be fun.
Oh my God. Well, know what? With the amount of security, first of all, they have two people trying to catch who blew up the Capitol building. So if that's all they're putting on that, I think there's a decent chance. I mean, we've already had an assault weapon attack on the White House.
Yep.
And they already hacked it and turn the lights off and hack the computers. I think it's a realistic bet. But anyway, we could talk about this for hours, and we did last week.
I think we should move on.
Let's move on. Chris, give us a little bit of The Walking Dead.
So, The Walking Dead finally came back to the storyline that everyone wanted it to come back to after 2 weeks, with an extended, mid-season extended episode. It's like an hour and 17 minutes. And it was pretty good. Out
of nowhere? Like, you were just watching it and it kept going?
No, at the end of last week's episode, it said, next week on The Walking Dead extended. It was extended episode.
Oh, wow. Did it deserve the extended time that it was given?
I assume because next week probably we'll abandon the storyline again. So we're getting a little bit more with the storyline that we wanted. But yeah, it's back with the main group, quote unquote, and it's very sad. Everyone's in a very sad state after the events of the premiere. And the best thing about the episode, I'll make this really quick, but the best thing about the episode was a callback to season 1 and 2 characters that had died that they normally just don't talk about at all, like characters that died in season 1. That
were they just mention them?
Yeah, just
Which characters? I watched season 1.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
But I watched season 1. Which characters they talk about?
But when I tell you, you'll find out who died. All right. Spoilers. So Shane dies.
He didn't die in season 1.
I know he died in season 2. 1 and 2. Anyway, so they talk.
Thanks a lot,
he talks about Shane, and this baby that he's caring for is actually Shane's baby, with his wife. And he's telling someone that's now part of the main group, that's been part of the main group for 4 years, but wasn't there in season 1 and 2. And he's bearing his soul. And it's interesting because we know about this, but this character doesn't know about this. But we're so invested in both of these characters. It's something that you can only do when a show goes on as long as 7 seasons. So it was really cool to see that. Excited for next week. It's The Walking Dead. It's one of those things, Just
Mike doesn't look impressed.
No, Mike's not impressed with anything. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've been enjoying it, Chris.
Yeah, it's been totally okay. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, great actor, playing a great role.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Okay.
I won't argue that.
He's a guy that you love to hate.
Danny Duquette.
You know, speaking of The Walking Dead spoilers, did anyone watch Saturday Night Live?
I watched... my thing with Saturday Night Live is anything worth watching will be online the next day. So,
Oh, wow.
I watched...
Chris, you're
what
part of the
talking
problem.
about. I guess so.
I watched like half of that episode.
Well, sounds
Mostly
like
just
you're
because
part
I
of
was
the
too
problem.
tired and I fell asleep.
Okay, Dave Chappelle's a comedy legend, so...
But what I had seen, it was okay.
I think that they were off because of the election.
There was an energy to that episode, a negative energy, I would say. There was just something not quite there, because I think a lot of the people involved in making that show were just in a state of mourning, state of shock.
I think, as someone that has watched half an episode before that episode in the past, 5 years, which was the previous week's episode, the Cumberbatch episode, to just have in my mind really happy thoughts about, Dave Chappelle's going to come out with this cold open, it's going to be so awesome. Just to have that woman dressed up like Hillary Clinton pretending to play the piano and sing the song for 5 minutes.
She was actually really playing that.
It's my professional opinion that she definitely wasn't. But I don't know what that was supposed to be, some sort of effed up tribute to Hillary Clinton and Leonard Cohen, but
I think that's exactly what it was.
stay away. You ruined what would have been really a enjoyable thing for me, and then I had to... It was so painful. It was just... I just didn't enjoy it at all. But, so that started things off bad for me, because it should have been Dave Chappelle, and it should have been some kick-ass thing.
Well, the host doesn't usually take part in the cold open, but
it would have been an awesome... Dave Chappelle comes out, and then there was no Alec Baldwin either.
right, he'll be back tonight. It was announced.
Oh.
I just don't.
You had to take a week off.
I don't think
'cause it
anyone
so
was
sad.
ready to start cracking jokes about Donald Trump. So I think that was smart to not include him in the episode.
Yeah, well, they should have...
I think we're ready now, though.
As a nation.
They should have pushed Chappelle one more week. Okay? You know what I read? That Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and Louis C.K. all went to the same comedy club after, and they all stopped by to do stand-up. That would have been
Wow.
a night to be there, huh?
Yeah.
That would have been something. Now, and I'm envious of those people in that comedy club, because they got to see Dave Chappelle without first having to watch a woman dressed up like Hillary Clinton pretend to play the piano and sing a song for five minutes. But anyway, I'm sure some people... I can't even see how that would be therapeutic for, a big Hillary Clinton supporter. But whatever. If you enjoyed it, great. I thought Dave Chappelle is hilarious, and he didn't really get
a nice
the shine
opening
as he
monologue,
should have.
I thought, to open the show.
He did, and he's so funny. I thought the skit with Chris Rock was really funny. I didn't really understand what was going on in the Walking Dead skit, other than all of his characters were there.
Yeah,
Well, you guys
that didn't do much for me.
You guys sort of knew the gist of that scene, all these characters were lined up, one of them was going to die.
Yeah, I remember you did say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. Oh.
Well, I have one last quick hit, just the quickest of quick hits.
Oh.
And I think it's news to Mike. Penny Dreadful coming back in comic book form. Yep, a sequel comic. Picks up a year later.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For those interested in keeping that story alive.
Yeah.
I think that it clearly had a a lot more to say before.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It ended very abruptly, so it'll be interesting to see.
I wonder if
where it goes.
that character that they introduced, that woman at the end of last season, will play a big role.
I'm guessing, and I'm guessing she was going to be playing a big role in future seasons of probably what they had in their mind. So that'll be cool. Yep. So there you go.
So they're bringing the TV show back as a comic book?
Yeah, or just continuing the story via comic book form.
That's pretty cool.
And I guess there was a prequel comic like a few years ago. Which was pretty well received. So
don't push it, Chris.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, that sounds good. I sort of wish that they would do that with other shows that I like that got either canceled early or stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice secret quick hit, Chris. Next time, just let us know.
Show.
Let's talk about Westworld.
Sure.
Definitely. I mean, I mentioned this to Chris. I really try hard not to talk to you guys about these shows until we're here, so that our reactions and stuff.
Yeah.
I know Mike was so filled with rage, and I was filled with the same rage over DS this week that we had to have that quick side conversation. But in general, we try not to talk to each other too much about this stuff, so that our reactions are genuine, and we're sharing opinions and stuff. I did say this to Chris about Westworld. Now, me and Mike did discuss amid saying that it was possible spoilers, although it's impossible to be spoilers.
Not spoilers, just open speculation on the theories that have been widely talked about.
Yeah, that there
by the community online.
There has been
something that Chris has just outright rejected for some reason. Reason that kind of irritates me, if I'm being honest.
I like to go in fresh.
They cannot be spoilers. It's just people talking about the show. So
exactly.
It's not spoilers.
Well, I agree, disagree.
But anyway, I mean, most things that people would guess are wrong. I mean, okay. That reveal, even though... Now, Mike, last week we talked about it briefly. I said, even though it's been talked about, it would still blow my mind if it's true.
You didn't seem to buy it.
I didn't think it was going to happen because, putting it all together, and my big question still, and I have a theory about this now, my big question still is, and for everyone listening, we're obviously talking about the Bernard reveal, which we'll get more into, but he was video conferencing with his wife. Mm-hmm. So either it was a fake wife, or I have some other thoughts too. But I was floored when that happened. I think that was one of the craziest moments for me that I've seen in a television show in a long time. And I had heard that it might be coming, but I just didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. When he didn't see the door.
What door?
Oh, I was like, no.
That was a great moment.
Because my heart dropped. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it.
What were you thinking when he said what door, Chris?
I thought he was just had been turned around and just hadn't seen the door, and he just said what door, and then it cut. So in my mind,
a man that truly doesn't know.
So in my mind, I was filling in the blank of and then she said, "Oh, this door, Bernard," and then she said, "Oh, let's go down," because it cut to them going downstairs.
Let me also mention great acting going on in that scene too, from all three of them.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think especially though, Teresa going through. She was like us. She was going through realizing.
Audience surrogate.
Yes. Just to watch her. I mean, go through realizing the truth about Bernard, why she was brought down there, the truth about the park, then realizing what's probably about to happen to her, and that she can't escape, all while really barely being able to, express that out loud. I was, And then I still, when he said the thing about the door, I just thought, I was like, no. But I knew it, but I was like, no. And then, when they went down and she looked at those diagrams.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
Oof. And that just...
They can't see what will hurt them.
When he said that...
Something that I thought interesting about that scene, too, is the... which I was kind of glossed over because it's such a big reveal, was that he has his own host manufacturing plant down there.
know.
So that leaves... And they were actively making one. So that means... Who knows...
Could he be making one
host
in the mold of Teresa
I think he's got to be.
to replace her?
I think
within the park?
he's got to be, because if he doesn't, what's it just going to be like? Oh, he killed a woman. Like he has to have some sort of cover for it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
That's probably right.
But it brings up who else is a host.
Yeah, it leaves the door open.
I've got to say, when he said that doesn't look like anything to me, I almost wanted to cry. It was like he wasn't real anymore. You know?
What is real? You care for him. Also, all of our screen bets are gone.
Why?
Which host is going to kill which human?
That's right. Bernard killed Teresa.
Oh, yeah.
It's not insignificant because that was our first time seeing a host murder a real-life human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We all were wrong.
Apparently there is that safeguard doesn't exist in Bernard. Or I guess Anthony Hopkins could probably bypass it.
Has anyone else died that could have been a host killing a human that we didn't know? No.
Not that I can remember. One thing I did want to say about this episode, though, other than that scene, which was amazing, not a particularly crazy episode that I thought.
I'm struggling with the Dolores Williams stuff. I'm hoping that goes to a more interesting place pretty soon. It looks like it might.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a completely different show we're watching. Like, with all of their scenes and all of their time in the park. It's just not as engaging to me.
I would agree, but I think that's going to end up being the storyline.
Yeah, I think it's going to somehow connect up with... In my head, I thought of this idea of, what if the Dolores stuff that we're seeing is in the past, and she's at the center of the maze, eventually, when the Man in Black gets there. Because, well, first of all, did you guys look up the name of this episode? Did you Google the name?
The French words.
Trump. Leoui. Trump. Did you guys look it up?
Yeah, I've heard what it means.
Tell us, Chris. Tell us.
It's actually, I looked it up earlier. I have the definition right here.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
A genre of still life painting that exploits human vision to create the illusion that the subject of the painting is real. Just says something about this episode.
I think it definitely does.
It speaks to Dolores's actual physical painting as well.
And Bernard.
Bernard, his entire worldview is essentially just that.
But connecting with painting and stuff, something about the painting that Dolores was painting, how she painted it from memory. It connected with I thought of, there's a famous story, a Van Gogh story of the Night Cafe, which was the first painting that he ever painted from memory. And he was afraid to paint from memory up until that point.
Interesting.
And a lot of people feel that moment when he painted from memory, he started going crazy. Because he unlocked something in his mind where he wasn't just referencing what was in front of him, he was able to delve into his insane mind.
Wow.
But another way to look at that is that when he finally painted from memory, it was a sign of his raising his consciousness. And what looked crazy to us was him going to this next level where he was able to create this art. So that could be symbolic of what's happening with Dolores.
Now, something's going on there, and something's going on with William, too. He's completely bought in to Westworld now.
Mm-hmm.
He was the opposite of the Westworld man, and now he is, like, the Westworld guy.
Well, he's not... But he's what Ford wants Westworld to be, not what the stockholders want Westworld to be. He's feeling the real Westworld, what it was meant to be.
Yeah, but is he just in a moment in time where he's like, he was a 0 on the Westworld scale, and now he's a solid 5, just doing everything the way it's supposed to be done? Is he going to continue going and getting more and more crazy? You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's 2 scales. There's the Ford scale, and then there's the CEO, the stockholder scale, where a 10 on the stockholders would be just like going around shooting everyone and doing all the storylines.
Their envision for what Westworld is and can be extends like far beyond the actual park. I think their intentions are far more nefarious. As we're coming to learn.
Yeah. So yeah,
that'll be interesting to watch.
I'd like to say one more thing about Bernard.
Sure.
I don't know if this is one of the off-limits things for Chris, though. But,
I feel like we need to talk in full about Bernard. And what?
So, this is just a couple things that got me thinking. When Teresa brings out the blueprints, very clearly we see the Dolores blueprint labeled Dolores. On the Bernard blueprint, we never see a name.
Nope.
I think...
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think Bernard might be non-name. Bernard. I think he might be someone else. Someone else that was killed and replaced with a host. And now the same thing is happening with Teresa. I think this also...
Except why would they do that with Teresa and then not name her Teresa?
Yeah, not in that he would give her a new name, but that he took out someone that was part of the park and replaced them with a host.
Okay.
Which opens up a whole new world. The whole board might be hosts.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that's maybe why he feels so confident and comfortable.
And maybe if Bernard was just replaced with... The real Bernard was replaced with a host, maybe the woman that he was speaking to is actually his real wife, who thinks she's speaking to her husband, but in fact is speaking to a robotic version of her husband.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that. Know what I was thinking?
Probably not likely.
I just view that as like an implanted memory.
It probably most likely is that.
I was thinking if we're jumping around times, that specific video or whatever, that shot of Bernard speaking to his wife might have been when that Bernard was alive. Because they've demonstrated that they do not care messing with us, in ways like that.
Same with the moments where Bernard speaks just to Dolores and they're alone in the room. That could be a past moment.
That would be pretty cool.
The real
if that
Bernard
was a
is speaking
moment.
to Dolores.
Yeah.
Also, I was trying to when it flashed to his dream of his sick son. I was thinking, that hospital room does not look futuristic. It just looks like a regular hospital room. And also, Ford talks about how, they've conquered life, they've conquered death, basically, and even the sickest people can be brought back from the brink of death. And this kid somehow
Good point, yeah.
was too sick to be brought back.
Probably a memory from long ago, if it's real, right?
Yeah, or just completely made up, and it was one of those things where the breadcrumbs were always there. Just didn't see it.
I think, something's going on. And just one more thing that happened this week. The Maeve stuff. She doesn't freeze. Is it just because she's smart? When they come in to take Clementine,
all right,
she just doesn't freeze at
her
all.
Perception has been
so your
amped all the way.
Your perception goes up and you just don't...
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, she clearly is far more aware than she was in the past. She notices behind her when that man is shot. She notices that the piano is playing by itself, and she goes to close it.
I felt so bad. Like, she was clearly revving up to bring Clementine into the inner circle of higher thought. And then she just gets taken away. But then at the end, Maeve says that she wants them to take her into the real world, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Wants to take her out.
That's crazy.
And the guy talks about how
that's like
that is crazy, and there's like a 10-step process to leave.
Jim Carrey shout out, End of the Truman Show. We all remember that, right?
Ed Harris.
Wonderful movie. Yep. Ed Harris was there. Ed Harris wasn't a fan of Jim Carrey leaving, though. Let me say this. One more bone to pick with this episode. This is part of the William storyline. So they run into like the native tribe. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Ghost Nation.
Are we just completely done with like... Those guys were shooting arrows. You're telling me if one of those arrows hits me in the face as a guest, I'm not getting hurt? Like, are we just completely done with, like, the people can't get hurt?
Unless they know not to shoot the arrows at the person.
I bet they could still hurt you, but they probably wouldn't penetrate.
Yeah, they'd probably be dull. I mean, there's obviously suspension of disbelief that you have to do.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
At some point.
You know, and just, I apologize, I'm coughing today. Just to jump back one more time to Maeve. She had a nice line, and hopefully I can quote this line just as well as I quoted that President Kirkland line from our DS talk about, like, dying a million times. Like how they tell her that leaving is very risky.
Suicide mission.
Suicide. And she says something like, I've died thousands of times. How many times have you died? Something like that. I thought that was that was pretty cool.
Which again connects to my call that I made last week of why don't they just crush her skull until all of her data's gone? They can't just be like, just blame it on Bernard and be like, oh, God, I guess one of them went crazy again. I had to crush the skull, and then just wash their hands of the entire situation.
I think that's a great point.
It's the most frustrating thing for me of a storyline that I really like.
Yeah, she has a great storyline.
Yeah.
Guess you just got to suspend that disbelief.
And I assume it's going to connect with the other storylines at some point because it's very far from everything else.
Yeah, and we got no Men in Black this week.
Mm-hmm. Even though, did you guys read online Ed Harris's interview about Westworld? He is going to be in season 2, at least some parts of it.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to look out for that. And yeah, we'll catch back up next week with all of that, and we'll probably have some new stuff to talk about next week too. Now that AHS is done.
Yeah,
thank God. So we will visit that next week. As always, you can visit us online. Mike, where can we find you online?
On Twitter @linguistics_ and on ScreeningClub.com.
Chris?
Twitter.com/thatmorris and ScreeningClub.com.
And you can find me at therealjeffmoore.com. And you can find all of us at ScreeningClub.com, where you can find more articles, insight, and just share your thoughts with us. If you do have any comments or thoughts at all, you can also get in touch, screeningclub@gmail.com. We always love to read and think about your comments and your insight. And other than that, everyone have a happy TV watching week, and we will catch up next week.
Happy Thanksgiving for our Americans. God bless.
Bye.